Welcome to Showtime 49. Welcome to Showtime 49.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Appreciate y'all for sliding through. But as y'all see at the bottom, let's just get right into it. Let's just start talking about Brock Purdy. We on the 3-game losing streak right now. Let's break it down. All right, so the last 3 games, Brock Purdy got 6 turnovers, 5 interceptions, 1 fumble. He dang near had 3 picks. But I mean, he was bailed out by a roughing the passer. Then the very next play, he fumbles. What was key about that play prior to was that roughing the passer, he hit the back of his head. And as we all know, he was concussed last week. And we were having doubts whether he was even going to play. Most of us believe Sam Darnold was going to be the starting quarterback. So much so that on CBS's graphic, when they had Brock Purdy's name, they showed Sam Darnold's whole picture because even they thought he was going to be playing this week. And, honestly, maybe he should have. Maybe he should have. Because at this point, could he have done any worse? I don't know. Now, see, the thing with Brock Purdy is he's an anticipatory quarterback because he lacks the arm strength to get the ball where he needs to quickly. So he has to anticipate where the receiver is going to be. Also, on top of that, where the defender is going to be, and then deliver that ball. Now, he's good at that. I got to give him his props. But the issue is the rest of the NFL is catching on, and they're catching on fast. So now they're starting to trick him into thinking certain things are open, and then bam, flash right back for a pick. It happened yesterday when he threw that pick to the linebacker when it was 2 defenders there. 2. He stared that man down the entire way and then just threw a soft ball over there. It's not like he's throwing darts. So these are very catchable balls. Now, what I do want people to understand is that how you practice is how you play. I've always been a firm believer of that. And we all know what happened in training camp this year. Brock Purdy was throwing picks. He threw like over 20-something picks. Like he was throwing so many interceptions in training camp is what it felt like. But he was throwing a lot of picks, more than any other quarterback, but he was also giving the most reps. And of course, they were saying, oh, it's against this first team defense, this number 1 defense. What number 1 defense? What number 1 defense? Where? Somebody please, we'll get into them later. But he had a history of doing that. And then if we go even further back at Iowa State, Brock Purdy was throwing picks. He was a turnover machine. So for us to start the season off 5-0 with him having 0 turnovers, to me was honestly shocking. I'm like, there's no way there's a player that you can just practice and throw a bunch of interceptions and then just turn it on. And all of a sudden, you hold on to the ball and you never turn over. That's odd to me because that sounds really, really similar to another player called Jimmy G. He threw a lot of picks in practice, a lot of them. And what happened in the games? Y'all remember what happened in games? Jimmy G was throwing picks. That's why we get upset with him because he makes bonehead, stupid plays. And yesterday, watching our offense looked like a Jimmy G style ran offense, and Purdy was playing every bit of the part. You hit me, every bit of the part. I don't know. I'm not feeling real confident in our guy right now. Seems like could be a little karma what would happen earlier in the season, but I'm not going to touch on that right now. I'm just saying I would feel a lot better if we had Trey Lance over there than Sam Darnold as a backup quarterback. Does Brock need to get benched? I mean, the guy won a bunch of games, but we say that about Jimmy all the time too. We also said it was because of Shanahan. It was because of all his weapons and everything. And it was pretty much proved right. He's at the Raiders looking not that great. He's going to play tonight. We're going to find out. But Jimmy G is good old Jimmy G. He was leading the league in interceptions before he was injured. So, but I mean, Brock might be coming up for him. He's got 5 in the last 3 games. Could have easily been 6, but he just got that turned back around and ended up fumbling instead. So either way, it was still a turnover. And our backup quarterback is Sam Darnold, who's even more of a turnover machine, who has more turnovers than the starts he has. That's not good. What? I don't know. But hey, this is all Kyle Shanahan. He built this team. He chose the quarterback, even though he doesn't know much about evaluating a quarterback. He would much rather have a top 5 quarterback already in place so that way he can run the system that he wants to run. Understandable, but don't send us through this whole quarterback loop like you know what you're talking about, and we ain't had a franchise quarterback since you've been here. We've wasted a bunch of money on him. I know that, but we ain't really picked up a franchise quarterback. We just gave franchise quarterback money away. I'm just saying. It can't just be me that feels this way. Can't just be. All right, let's move on, man. Let's get to this defensive scheme, something I really want to talk about. Now, we all know our defensive coordinator is Steve Wilks, and we're used to having Robert Saleh. We're used to having D'Amico Ryans. Both of them are now head coaches, Jets, Texans. You know, we love those guys. Our defense was ferocious. Same players. For the most part, same players. But for some reason, we looking heck of below average. I mean, we can't tackle out there. Joe Burrow lit us up. He was 28 for 32. How do you complete over 80% of your passes against any defense, let alone one that's supposed to be feared? Huh? He just shred. It was one point he had 18-something completions in a row, and that was in the first half. They put up over 240 yards on us in the first half. Honestly, the score should have been worse. If I got to keep it a buck, they could have easily put up over 40 against us. Easily. We ain't tackling. We ain't getting no sacks, really. I mean, yeah, Eric Armstead got a couple sacks yesterday, and good. It's about time. He had 0.5 sacks coming into the game. 0.5. Nick Bosa, 2.5. We're halfway through the season. I just really don't understand what's going on with the defense. Now, Steve Wilks was brought here to run a wide 9, which is what the Niners have been running. But you have to have a defensive coordinator that understands how to run the wide 9. That's not what Steve Wilks does. He runs a totally different scheme. So he wants to come here and run his scheme. Kyle Shanahan says, no, can you run the wide 9? He's like, sure, I'll try it. And now here we are. Looking average. I don't feel confident at all. I mean, our DBs are getting torched. Our number 1 DB, Charvarius Ward, is supposed to be our guy. And he out there looking like, man, we need to bench him. Because if he not getting torched, if we play man, he getting a flag. Whether all of them are warranted or not, he's still getting a flag. He's like a penalty waiting to happen or a touchdown waiting to happen at this point. I don't feel too much better about Deommodore Lenoir, and I'm not even going to touch on Isaiah Oliver. He needs to go. Bruh, trash. I don't know why we keep going to these trash teams trying to get their leftovers. Like, I don't understand. He came from the Falcons. Falcons aren't raw. They're not known for their ferocious defense, but here we are picking them up when there are other options out here. Trade deadline tomorrow. We still ain't done nothing. Man, if we don't make a move for DB, at the very least, so we don't get torched all the time, so we can start shaking some stuff up and move things around, then we ain't going nowhere, bro. Nowhere. We ain't even first place in our division. The Seahawks is leading right now. And even they still making moves to get better. What are we doing? Sitting on our hands so far. Now, I know John Lynch usually can be scheming up some stuff, but we already got Christian McCaffrey. This is when we got him last year. This was the moment. So now what? because our rushing attack has been trash. We've been scoring 17 points a game for the last 3 games. We used to be, Purdy 30, Glock 30, all this stuff. We ain't scoring nothing but 30 plus points a game. Well, we've been averaging 17 points on the dot the last 3 games. That's a real Jimmy G style offense. That's what's been going on. So you can't rush 4 only and then play back in a zone, given all that cushion against any type of good elite quarterback. You don't even got to be elite. If you're just competent, you should be able to see that. Let the ball come out fast. It's going to be a quick release, and you're just going to march your way down the field. It was one point we had 14 yards in total offense, and they have 14 first downs. How? Play up, play tighter. So we did that. It was a little bit better, and then of course Traveris Ward got another flag, and more penalties, which we only had 5, but they only had 1. They literally beat us in every aspect of the game, even down to the penalties. Wow. We're just getting torched on all levels. I've seen Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, they combined for like 18 tackles, but I saw them missing tackles. Shoot, I saw Dre Greenlaw get ran over one play. And now let's get to the D-line. Nick Bosa. He's always getting pressure. To me, I'm always seeing him in the backfield doing a bunch of things, but it's not turning out to sacks. And at the end of the day, that's called finishing. If you don't finish, what happens? Like, I understand people want to talk about pressures all the time, but what is it doing, though? Because the pressures aren't leading to a whole bunch of turnovers and us winning a bunch of games. They're getting torched. So we're getting pressured, but the quarterback is still getting away. I saw Joe Burrow almost have as much rushing yards as CMC yesterday. Like, what? I saw him break out of Nick Bosa's sack. I saw Mixon beat Nick Bosa all the way to the edge and got outside and scored a touchdown. Like, Nick Bosa missed some plays yesterday that were pretty big. But it's not all on the defense, because at the end of the day, they still weren't the worst over this 3-game span. Our offense had a lot to do with it. If we would have just put up some more points, we probably would have won all of these games. Yesterday might have been the game, maybe not so much, because we were literally getting torched the entire game. We haven't had the lead for 1 second in 2 consecutive weeks. 2. Now we're going into a bye week with the nastiest taste that you can think of in our mouth right now. Pause. Like, what? I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. Our season was looking fantastic, and then we beat the Cowboys, and it was like, forget it. We gave up. We're good. We don't need to beat anybody else. They're not that important to the point where we just shut down our whole season. What's going on, Niners? Give us something here. Defense is sucking. Steve Wilkes, I don't know what you're dialing up. We need to be doing something, which is why we need to make a trade. We need to make a trade and get a DB. I've been hearing a whole bunch of fire Steve Wilkes and the whole everything, and I understand where that's coming from. I can see both sides. I can see Steve Wilkes' side. Like, look, I came here to run the defense that I want to run, and they told me to run something different that I'm not a specialist in. So who is that on? Is that on Kyle Shanahan too? All of it, to me, comes down to Kyle Shanahan, because he built this team. He built this coaching staff. Shoot, he chose his GM. This is his whole organization, it feels like. And after week 3, the man gets an extension. Wins 2 more games, and all of a sudden, we won the Super Bowl, huh? It's crazy. Because now we're looking like, are they even going to make it to the playoffs? We're the 6th seed right now. When we was looking like we was on a team on a whole different stratosphere than any other team out there. Now, we could lose anybody. Jacksonville's up next. Another good quarterback. Trevor Lawrence ain't no sucker. He will eat us alive too if we keep playing this same defense. Something massive is going to have to change in these next 2 weeks before we get out there and play Jacksonville. because we got a lot of traveling left to do still. And if we don't have a top seed, we're going to have to win a bunch of games on the road. And we already have had the most traveling out of like all teams in the league for the regular season. We're definitely top 5 in it. We got some figuring out to do. These offensive struggles, though. Just getting to that. So we got all these weapons, yet we're putting up 17 points a game in the last 3 games. We run CMC to the ground. Of course, he always has a lot of all-purpose yards because he does everything for us. But our rushing attack has not been good. It's been pretty average. Did CMC rush for over 100 yards in the last few games? Have anybody seen that? I haven't, because it hasn't happened. A lot of us have been hollering about, where is Jordan Mason? Well, according to Shanahan, Jordan Mason doesn't block well, and he doesn't know the plays. And if you know Kyle Shanahan, if you don't block, you don't get the ball. Ask Brandon Ayuk, who is now a really good blocker. He also gets the ball a lot now, doesn't he? He had a drop yesterday, though. Hit him right in the helmet. That can't happen. Got to help Brock out there. That can't happen. Our offensive line is not even doing terrible, but of course we miss Trent Williams. We do. And now Aaron Banks is injured with turf toe. So good luck, Brock, back there, I guess. Because you, sir, yourself, Brock Purdy, are really scaring me right now. You're making some real suspect throws that it's not what we have seen from you in the regular season, but it's definitely something we have seen in practice, in training camp, in your college days. He's trying to do too much. For some reason, Brock Purdy thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. He had a great scrambling game yesterday. He did. But as far as finishing a game, playing from behind, he hasn't come through for us. 3 games in a row, we were losing. And Brock Purdy had multiple chances, to bring us out the mud, make some on-point passes, improvise, do some things to get us some points. And he didn't do that. He literally failed us in every situation like that. How are we supposed to have faith in the quarterback if we're down and we also have a coach who's 0-37 when you're 8 points behind in the fourth quarter? Stop comparing Brock Purdy to Joe Montana. Please stop doing that. Joe Montana was known for coming back and winning games. Coming back, losing. Oh, you need me to step up? Okay, I got you. Okay, touchdowns. Boom. All of a sudden, we winning. Super Bowls. We're great. Dope. He literally has not done that, especially this season, at all. So just stop saying it. Just stop saying it. Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy. Compare him to himself. He was Mr. Irrelevant, and he's the first person to do all this stuff with all this drama and the great story and all the stuff. So let him be in his own category. But it ain't Joe Montana. It ain't none of the Niner greats and all that stuff yet. I know all the numbers and the wins and everything look good, but it seemed like the minute you start taking some key pieces away, it's a little bit frazzled. He loses it. He looking shook out there. He looking shook. Can you imagine if we just had Trey Lance in this position? Man, he'd be getting crucified right now. I mean, he would just be getting hammered if he was doing what Brock Purdy is doing right now. But it's not happening. People are still finding excuses. And at the end of the day, yes, Brock Purdy is a person, and I don't want his family getting no threats and none of that kind of stuff, because none of that stuff is necessary. And can quarterbacks have bad stints? Absolutely they can. But there's only a selected few that can actually get away with that. Like people like Patrick Mahomes, he's done things in his past, is what I'm getting at. There's a resume of success is what I'm getting at. Like real success, not regular season success. Success in the playoffs, success in a Super Bowl, winning MVPs, all pros, Pro Bowls, things like that. Brock Purdy doesn't have any of those. So his struggles are different. His struggles go towards the rookie side of him, which is dang near all rookies struggle. And I know we were trying to paint him out to be a one-of-a-kind quarterback because that's just what we want. And we're so quarterback strong on our fan base. And we just been searching for a very long time. And we have a coach that doesn't understand the real value of a quarterback and understanding that that's the position that needs to be handled absolutely first. And you build around that, not the other way. And we have done it the other way, which seems to work to an extent, but it has gotten us zero hardware. For many reasons, it still ended up to nothing. Nothing. We shouldn't be still chasing our 6th ring right now. We should be chasing like number 8. We got a lot of soul searching to do. A lot. And I'm a diehard fan, so I'm going to be here to the end regardless. Ooh, but the frustration is mounting right now. Got no confidence in our coaching, our play calling. The play calling. Why are we getting so cute with everything? In the red zone, like I understand that Brock Purdy on his first interception, he missed a handoff. That wasn't supposed to happen. So then he tried to improvise and make some things happen. He threw a pick right in front of him. It was crazy, but it was a heck of a play by the defender. But just throw it away or something. Like we were right there. Like those are points directly off the board. Like his interceptions aren't like whatever. It was like a punt. No, crucial ones though. And any turnover in the red zone is absolutely heartbreaking. And if you turn it over in your own territory where the very next play, Joe Burrow throws another dot touchdown, Jamar Chase just killing us. I warned y'all. I said we're playing an elite wide receiver. And we're going to find out how good our DBs really are. And they were torched all day long. Not feeling confident right now. It's going to be a sad 2 weeks for us right now until we get back on that field. It would have definitely felt a lot better going into a bye week off a W. But most of us knew we were nervous about this game. And we knew the possibility of losing a 3rd game in a row was a real thing. And it's an official streak now. 3 is that number. And that's how many games Brock Purdy has been playing pretty much like trash, especially ending the game. It's been looking a lot like Jimmy G. And as my boy Grant Combs calls him, Purdy G. But on that note, I'm out, y'all. I'm going to holla at y'all on the next one.